So, good afternoon, everyone, for joining us from wherever you are in the world. My name is Sarah Rani. I'm the founder of Analyca Policy Institute. A very warm welcome to the Cycle Redefining Well-Being, a session co-hosted by Global Health Connect and the Analyca Policy Institute. I would like to begin by expressing our profound gratitude for our panel of global leaders, Danielle, Jennifer, Joan, and Ranu. Thank you for lending your time, your expertise, and your powerful voices to this crucial conversation. And a special thanks to Bisma, who will skillfully guide our discussion. So today we gather to reframe a fundamental aspect of human life, menstrual health. Is far more than biological process. It is a cornerstone of dignity, autonomy, and holistic well-being. So it touches every facet of life, from education and health to economic participation and gender equality. So yeah, for millions of women and girls, like globally, this natural cycle is not a foundation for well-being, but a source of struggle marked by a lack of access to products, safe facilities, and information. So the consequences are stark, and studies shows um, that girls missing school, women missing work, and individual facing preventable health risk, all while navigating stigma and silence. So, our goal today is to move from awareness to action. We'll explore cycle awareness as a tool of personal and workplace well-being, and we'll discuss why this is systems and a human rights issue demanding policy, financing, and multi-sector collaboration. And we will center dignity and lived experience as a non-negotiable core of all solutions. We have a rich 60 minutes agenda ahead, and this session will be recorded for advocacy and learning. And so let's begin. To set the stage, I want to leave you with a simple, powerful truth. Achieving menstrual health means that every person who menstruates can live with dignity, participate fully in all spheres of life, and experience their cycle not as a barrier, but as a part of their inherent strength. Um, so now I will hand over to our moderator, Dr. Bismah Nayyer, to introduce our great panel and lead us into the first segment. Bismah, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And thank you so much for the esteemed experts and speakers who lend their time today for this important topic and a very uh, crucial part of half of the population of the globe. I will invite our first, expert to share her, um, uh, you, uh, insights that, how to integrating, cycle awareness in daily life because it's just not about menstruation is just not about just access to products but in daily lives many people also struggle to how to make sense of their menstrual cycle, and also it's very important for the people who don't menstruate to actually understand the people who menstruate, their cycles, their moods, their energy levels, their emotions and that sort of thing. So that's why I'm so excited that Daniela is here with us today. So giving her a short intro. So Daniela has spent over 13 years advancing the field from igniting Menstrual Hygiene Day, which we all celebrate on 20th May, established the Menstrual Health Hub, and co-authoring the definition of menstrual health, to consulting Fortune 500 companies like J&J and HC and Bayer, and working with femtech brands like Flo and Clo. She now leads transformating workshops and mentoring programs that reimagine how people and workspaces engage with menstrual cycles, hormones, and perimenopause. So I would give now the floor to Danielle, which we call her Denny. So please, Denny, just enlighten us that how we can live with menstrual cycle and integrate into our daily lives, and make people understand that what half of the population goes through every month. So here hit you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night. If you are staying up late to join us, thank you so much. Thank you, Bismah. Thank you, Sarah, for organizing this. And I'm so excited to be next to Jenny and Joan and Ranu. What a great group, honestly. I'm really privileged to be here. So yeah, I wanted to start off this session by kind of giving an overview, because everyone else is going to be talking about a lot of specific areas of the menstrual cycle. And what's so great about what's happened in this space in the last few years is that there's now a whole field and a whole sector of menstrual health. When, 10 years ago, it was like, what? Mental health? What are you saying? And so it's become, a household term, so to say, and people working in this space are now working in such different areas, which is so cool. And we're going to hear about all of those perspectives today. So first and foremost, according to the official definition of menstrual health, which I helped co-author in 2021, menstrual health is your complete physical, mental, and social well-being during the menstrual cycle, from menarche, which is the first period, to menopause, which is 12 months after the last period. And to me, menstrual health, menstrual well-being, cycle well-being, whatever we want to call it, it's a central component of our health and well-being, especially and foremost for those that have female physiology and female biology. It's really about understanding the female body as this dynamic system that changes across the month. And much of our world has been built on the understanding that there is one body and there's one rhythm, and we should all fit into that. And unfortunately, we're learning that that's just not true. I want to make a note that I say female body because this term refers to the biological sex. So body parts like the uterus, the ovaries, genitalia. This is what people with menstrual cycles have, like female biology. And I refrain from using the word woman because woman is a term that refers to gender. And gender is formulated upstairs, like between our brains. So sex is between our legs, and gender is between our brains. So it's important when we talk about the menstrual cycle, we're really talking about it in reference to sex and biology and not gender necessarily. This is also so that we can be as inclusive as possible of all the bodies that menstruate, especially when we're delivering modern menstrual health education. So the menstrual cycle is a dynamic and I think absolutely fascinating system that continues to give me so much inspiration and is very generous with all of its knowledge. The more I learn, the more it gives to me. And I almost like to think of it like a compass that is always on during our reproductive lives, unless, of course, we're pregnant, which is a different cycle. or if we are on hormonal birth control, which kind of mutes our hormones and prevents ovulation from happening a lot of the time, or if we've gone into premature or medical menopause. But this is, less common scenarios. So our menstrual lives literally last for almost 40 years, from say 10 to 12 years old to around 50-ish years old. So that's a really, really long time. So it's so wonderful that we're finally giving this the attention it deserves, right? So having a menstrual cycle means experiencing monthly hormonal fluctuations within a very natural rhythm that has actually been organizing time since the beginning of human existence. All these things we understand about the Gregorian calendar, January, February, 12, months out of the year, this was all made up. What we have inside of our bodies is the OG, the original gangster of time management. So it's really important that we give our cycles and give, where human life literally comes from, the respect that it deserves. Because this cycle really helps us to navigate daily life in an emotional, physical, and mental sense, because the menstrual cycle affects mood and cognition. It affects our motivation levels and our energy levels. It affects our stress response and how well we can respond to stress. It affects our sensory sensitivity. So whether we can handle like really loud sounds or a lot of things going on at the same time, that changes throughout the menstrual cycle. And it also affects our sleep, our digestion, our libido, and our desire, and so much more. So it's really important that we understand and kind of take the veil off of the menstrual cycle, because it's literally connected to every other system within the female body. But in order for us to understand this, we really need to instill basic body literacy about menstrual cycles first. And unfortunately, we had not been given that in our schools, in our homes, in our public institutions, definitely not in our workplaces, because of the stigma and the taboo around what this has meant for so long. But luckily, and we all know this, things are changing, and we're starting to see the menstrual cycle as a source of empowerment and less shame. And I feel super confident in the next 25 years, we'll be dealing with other issues because we will have worked on and fixed the menstrual stigma problem. So it's really important that we understand that cycle awareness matters beyond the period. Why? So the period is just the most obvious part of the menstrual cycle. It's the part we can actually see. Oh, here's blood in my underwear. It's the first phase of an incredibly insightful cycle that happens every single month, and it happens like 450 times across one person's lifetime. Like, wow, wild, right? So I like to think of this, and a lot of other people in this space, of like the menstrual cycle as a vital sign, like heart rate or blood pressure, that tells us about our hormones. So in relation to fertility, in relation to our thyroid health, in relation to our metabolism. It's also related to our mental health, anxiety, depression, ADHD as well, and other neurodivergent conditions. As I said, it's connected to our energy and cognition and our ability to focus, our ability to create and like be creative, our social energy as well, like our social battery, how much we can actually like handle hanging out with other people, because this shifts across the phases. And then it also is very much connected to chronic conditions like PCOS and endometriosis and perimenopause, because they often show up as cycle disruptions first. So when we track our cycles and pay attention to them, we're tracking like our body's communication system in general. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know the language for that because we can't read the signals, because it's been so pushed underneath the social radar. So I would love for you to think about the period that comes, the pain or the mood swings or anything that comes before that, as kind of like a report card about what's been going on in the body for the last 100 days or 3 cycles. And if we learn the language, we can kind of decode what the what it's trying to say to us. The menstrual cycle also is super important because it gives us a sense of orientation, like a compass, like, kind of like, oh, this is why I'm feeling this way because I'm here, or this is why I'm feeling this way because I'm here. And that kind of allows you to have more sense of self-awareness about yourself in relation to others, in relation to your environment. And because it does communicate abnormalities like pain and heavy menstrual bleeding and extreme symptoms. And those things are signs, and they're actually signs when they're extreme that the body is crying for some help and attention. Period pain, like excruciating period pain every single month, is not normal. It's very common, but is not normal. We are not born to be in pain all the time. And it's really important that we internalize and understand that our bodies are communicating through pain. Just like if our eye was pussing and bleeding for a month straight, we would eventually go to a doctor or an ophthalmologist and get it checked out. It's the same thing with our wombs and our reproductive systems. So I want to quickly share my screen and just show you a little overview of the menstrual cycle. So bear with me while I share the screen here to this. And hold on just one second while I adjust. Oh, hold on a sec. Get rid of the chat. Move you guys up. All right. How are we looking here? Can you see this? Yeah, great. Okay, so the menstrual cycle, as I share it, is this beautiful dance of expansion and contraction, just like a circle. If you were to draw a circle, like here, it expands, and then once it gets to the halfway point, it starts to contract, right? Just like your breath. When you breathe in, you expand and bring in all of that air, which breathes life into all your cells. And then you exhale and you contract. And so it's really important that we think about our own rhythm as this kind of 29-day cycle of expansion and contraction. Roughly what that communicates to is rising energy and falling energy, right? Unfortunately, we live in a system that is based off of the male 24-hour testosterone cycle, or the circadian rhythm, where every day we're supposed to wake up and have lots of energy, and then we go, down towards sleep. And we wake up every day, we have lots of energy, and then we go down towards sleep. This is just not the case for 51% of the population. We don't have a testosterone-driven cycle. We have an estrogen-driven cycle, which if you stretch out that 24-hour rhythm over 29 days, it does look the same, right? We have a lot of more energy in the first half of the cycle, coming at the end of the period, and then it kind of dips, and then it slowly goes down. So I like to think of day 28 or so like 11 o'clock at night, and asking a woman or a person who menstruates to give a pitch presentation on day 28 of their menstrual cycle is akin to asking a man to give a pitch presentation at 11 p.m. on a Friday night. We wouldn't do that, right? It's like socially unacceptable. So it's really important that we understand the need for a paradigmatic shift as well. So coming back here to our menstrual cycle, we have a rising energy or falling energy. And what we can understand is that there are like 4-ish phases of the menstrual cycle, starting with the one that we know the most, the menstrual phase. And then that moves into something called the follicular phase, which is when the follicle starts to ripen. And that's a follicle that's inside of our ovaries. That's going to be the dominant follicle. We were all dominant follicles at some point in our lives. We were all chosen to take that route and become the individuals that we are today. And then we have the third phase, which is the ovulatory phase, which is also known as the ovulation. And then after that, there is a fourth phase, which I like to break up into 3 kind of phases, which is the early luteal phase, which is the beginning of that last phase, the peak luteal, which is when one hormone actually kind of peaks, and then late luteal, which is where we might experience the most common symptoms of PMS. So within this, there are three main hormones: estrogen, which is dominant in the first half of the menstrual cycle. This is kind of like our happy hormone. This is the one that gives us motivation and clarity and like excitement, and it's revving us up for ovulation and for fertile time. Then we have testosterone, which is also in our male counterparts, and this peaks around ovulation and shortly before menstruation. And this is to get our sex drives and our motivation and focus going. And then we have the third major hormone, which is progesterone, which is kind of like the opposite of estrogen. If estrogen is like, woo, 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 energy, progesterone is a little bit like, I'm going to chill out back here kind of energy, a lot more introverted. So as I had mentioned, estrogen helps with mood and productivity. Progesterone is really around managing our rest and self-care. And testosterone really helps us to optimize our pleasure and our strength. So yeah, now that we have this kind of like hormonal awareness, it becomes easier for us to focus on our everyday well-being because we're not small men. And there are practical ways that you and society at large can start to integrate this kind of awareness into daily life. If you are interested in having this cycle for your very own, you can get the Cycle Compass here. I have a little PDF that I've created that breaks it down in the way that I just showed you with something you can keep forever. And the first thing is like you have to become a little bit curious about your own patterns and having documentation of that. So you can do that with pen and paper, which is really cool, and it allows you to like be directly in relationship with your own body. Or you can use a privacy secured app, which is the more modern thing to do right now. I'm really excited because a new app called 28X is coming out next year that is going to be completely private and completely safe, and everything is on the phone. So we're not going to have any of this like privacy breaches stuff that we have seen take over the menstrual period tracker space for the last few years, unfortunately. Tracking your cycle and kind of developing a relationship with it also allows you to let go of the expectation that every day is supposed to look the same, that you're supposed to be this productive, busy bee every single day. You're not. You're going to have periods of more productivity and more creativity. And if you don't respect your rest and you don't respect the time of your contraction, then you are literally screwing yourself for the next cycle, right? So, yeah, one last thing I want to say before I finish up is that during the second half of the menstrual cycle, our bodies communicate that it's time to slow down. And this is a wonderful time for us to be setting boundaries, to say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Next week, I'm not going to do that. And when that next week comes around, it's all about whether we live in integrity with those boundaries that we set and respecting those boundaries. So the more we can respect the boundaries that we set, the more we can listen to our cycles and actually take that time for a little bit less rest, a little bit more introversion. The more we can be in integrity with our cycles, with our health, and with the others around us. So yeah, I think that's a good little intro for now. And I'm really excited for any questions you might have afterwards. And if we don't get to them today, I'd love to connect on LinkedIn or some other way so we can chat later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danny. That was, yeah, a plethora of information, and there are so many things that we learned today for the first time. So, okay, I am very excited to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Jennifer Martin. For over 11 years, Dr. Jennifer, which we all know by Jenny, has been an advocate for menstrual health, positioning it as a human right and a core pillar of global health, gender equality, and social justice. Her work spans research, policy reforms, and multi-sectoral partnerships with the governments, UN agencies, and civil society. She formed as a co-founder of previously known, we all know that as Pandemic Period, which is now Menstrual Rights Global, and it just had its fifth anniversary. So that's been amazing, 5 years of that's amazing collective. And so without further ado, I will give floor to Jenny. Jenny, please, let us know that how your works of menstrual health translates from awareness to advocacy, and how it can be leveraged as a tool of self-advocacy, leadership in driving change in the society. So yeah, please, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bismah, and thank you for inviting me here to speak today, and to the team. I'm actually going to look at this through translating advocacy or into awareness into advocacy through another systems lens. So as Danielle has mentioned previously, when we talk about menstrual health, we're not just talking about hygiene issue, which has obviously traditionally been how menstrual health has been positioned. One of the reasons it's been positioned in that way is because it's quite easy to be able to look at indicators such as how many products you have delivered, how many bathrooms you have improved, as ways of communicating impact in global health and development. And we know currently with what's going on geopolitically and the constrictions in overseas development assistance, constrictions in financing for many of the programs, particularly around things like sexual reproductive health, even if it's through a hygiene lens, that impact is crucial. But I just want to take a bit of a step back and think, what are we operating in, and how can we advance menstrual health beyond the provision of products alone and looking at it through as a hygiene issue? So Danielle's spoken about the body systems, and I want to think about it in the sense of that through that rights-based lens and through a whole systems approach, because I do believe that menstrual health is not just a public health issue, but a human rights issue. And when we're talking about these institutions that shape our lives, and what do I actually mean by using all this jargon around like rights-based approaches and intersectional lenses and systems through a whole systems approach, it's really thinking about menstrual health through the context of health, of course, education, labour, social protection, and climate responses, none of which are typically actually designed with women, girls, and gender diverse individuals in mind. And we know this, and we've seen this. Many people have written about it in books. Many people have written about it within the advocacy space. We have conversations in our echo chamber on a day-to-day basis. But if we actually want to have further, and we want to be able to attain menstrual health, we want to be able to broaden out sexual reproductive health rights and body autonomy for all, including those that don't menstruate, we need to bring in other actors within the system and establish a much stronger ecosystem. So as we've said previously, and many people know, there are menstrual health influences people's ability to stay in education, people and women's or gender diverse people's ability to be in the workplace, whether it's attaining or maintaining leadership positions, or actually just being able to fully participate in public life without facing any stigma or shame related to body functions. As Danielle said, they're actually indicators of health and wellness. So none of these things depend on awareness alone. They actually depend on, and there is a certain responsibility on policymakers. There are policy choices that can be made, structural design and resource allocation that can help us alleviate some of the challenges relating to all of the aspects within menstrual health that Danielle has noted again within the menstrual health definition. So I want to also think about this because a lot of our work at Menstrual Rights Global that we've done is there's so much fantastic work being done on the ground at an advocacy level, and really that advocacy work needs to be led by the individuals that are in that context, because they are the only people that understand their context and understand the challenges that are within it and know the actors well. So one of the things that we've always tried to do is to operate on a grassroots to global model where we work with individuals across different contexts. We help them come together, share their knowledge and expertise. They might do some writing for research purposes in academic journals. They might do advocacy events. We might help them with tools, policy briefs. They might feed into how they can create new advocacy agendas that push forward some of this type of thinking. But they're the ones that are going back and doing the work in their own context. And what we do is bring people together to advance the global menstrual health narrative within the context of gender equality, women's leadership, and broader sexual reproductive health, rights and body autonomy, and also now looking at it through a climate and social development lens. So one of the things that we have been able to do, to give you a concrete example, is in 2024, we had the Summit of the Future, which was the halfway point for the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which end in 2030. And there was a review during the Summit of the Future. And as part of that, they produced a document called the Pact for the Summit of the Future. Now, in the zero draft, there was no mention of sexual reproductive health whatsoever. And through sustained advocacy and civil society consultation, Menstrual Rights Global and many other partners from around the world were able to get sexual reproductive health into that final pact. And just again, for a bit of context, we had sexual reproductive health mentioned in the pact once, and we had youth appeared 30 times. And we realised it's a pact for the Summit of the Future, but also that is just indicative of the global context that we are operating within currently. Everybody's arguing about sexual reproductive health. And that is not just a symbolic gesture, it is structural, because often people say, like, do global policies really matter on the ground? And my answer is yes. They help shape the agendas of the 195 member states, and bearing in mind that one of those member states hold 27 governments for the EU. And it helps the global frameworks influence national legislation, ministerial mandates, budget lines, data systems, procurement plans, and donor priorities. When I have been in Scotland, when they were thinking about how they could, we also fed into the Human Rights Bill for Scotland, and one of the things that they wanted to ensure was in the bill was CEDA. Now, CEDA doesn't actually contain anything around menstrual health, and it doesn't contain anything outside of discrimination around maternal health. So it's quite an interesting conversation to be had, and we have been doing some work with their commission on how we could actually get them to generate a note. They can't adapt these big UN conventions, CEDA being the convention for the elimination of discrimination against women, but they can issue a comment. And we've seen this pattern repeat across core human rights instruments. So that would maybe include things like the International Labour Organization's Convention 190, which looks at addressing violence and harassment in the workplace. It doesn't include anything to do with perimenopause, menopause, menstrual disorders, or menstrual health. And then thinking about a really important one, the Convention on the Rights of the Child, omits menstruation entirely, even though it's a fundamental marker of adolescent health, inclusion, and development. So I'm not going to take too much time, Bismah, but I just wanted to mention a few other things. So we've got the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action is 30 this year. That's a big gender equality one. We had ICPD 30 last year. Again, menstrual health is remaining largely absent. And although there's been a lot of progression towards sexual reproductive health, rights and body autonomy, and gender equality, we are seeing a global pushback of a very well-funded anti-rights movement. And that is titrating both ways on the ground and up to global policy just through how governments are voting. So I think the thing that I just wanted to, and my dog went to bark, the door fell to gone. Sorry for that. The door. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Sorry,
Jenny, we
Bismah, can you hear
can.
me?
Yes,
Sorry,
we
my dog was
can.
just taking off to bark at the postman. So I just wanted to just a final point because I don't want to take up too much time. I know you have some other speakers. We need to have stronger ecosystems when it comes to addressing menstrual health. So it can't just be about provision products alone, as we know. We need to think about how we include all these other actors. We need to support people with lived experience. We need to think about intergenerational governance. And we need to think about how global institutions really have a responsibility to broaden the scope of where menstrual health is integrated. And that includes in finance, humanitarian responses, and NCD strategies, and clean cooking, and discussions around economic resilience. It really is across the spectrum of actors. And I think my final point will be, because again, I don't want to take up too much time today, but happy to discuss. Menstrual health is a systems issue. It is a rights issue. And if it was a test of whether our institutions are prepared to serve everybody, let's be realistic, that's just not the case. And they were originally designed for men by men. And we need to continue to challenge that narrative, because it's only if we continue to challenge it and remind people that we will keep the conversation alive. So we're not asking for incremental change through the movement anymore. It's really time to think about demanding a systems redesign and ensuring that the laws and the budgets and the institutions and global frameworks reflect the lived realities of women and girls and gender diverse people.
Thank you so much, Jenny. It's always so good to hear from you on the grassroots level to from the global policy level and what's happening across the ecosystem. And as you know, we were discussing this point just yesterday because of a LinkedIn post we just saw as a potential merger of two big UN agencies which specifically work on sexual and reproductive health and gender equality. So it's like threatening so much to dilute both of agendas, and also the mandate of two so big chunks of where most of the work and funding comes from for on women's work. So that's why I'm so excited to for our group dialogue discussion where we have additional speakers as well. Joan Masinde is joining us from us like Kenya, and she is a passionate gender advocate, and also she's been part of the menstrual right global community and work, especially the advocacy work. Recently, she has founded Reproductive Justice for All, which is communication strategy platform about restoring reproductive autonomy for women and girls through narrative building and advocacy. And then we have Ranu Singh with us from India, and he is a staunch supporter and also a menstrual health advocate. His main work is with the period Bihar, in which he educate especially men and boys about menstrual health sessions, and through his new forum, I Talk Periods, he does this with the help of storytelling and period friendly cinema. So I am so excited for both of them to join us, and also Sarah will be joining us too, and all of our other you know speakers with us. So I will start from, it's like we all have been working in the menstrual health, like in some ways with our own experiences, and then our work in everything. um so I will start with Joanne. um Joanne, we have been, a lot of advocacy campaigns. You live in Kenya, and also experiences through our, friend circles, relationships, and everything. Um, and it's like we work on so many campaigns and that sort of thing. And with the AI, it's very easy, to design campaign and same messages and that sort of thing. And also the biggest, I guess, buzzword in our advocacy world is like storytelling. So everyone is onto that. So do you think that there is a certain approach or certain things we need to change, or what kind of do storytelling this our MHM movement need more? Is it like the same old one, or anything? I would love to hear from you on that.
I'm grateful. Thank you for the question, and also thank you for the opportunity. I'm grateful to be on the panel with all of you. All of you, you guys have inspired some of my work. I'll just begin with asking you guys if you've ever seen an advertisement by the Always company that I really, really hate. It's always girls dancing and being happy about their periods. And the first time I started my period, that was not my experience, and I hated it. I was very disappointed that my period shocked me. I had so much misinformation based on an advert about dancing and how, getting a period is such a lovely feeling. And it really distorted what I thought about periods for a very long time, until when I was in high school, when I was about 14 years old. That's when, there was actually real conversation about menstrual health and what it does to your body and how you need to understand it. And now, as an adult, when I'm working, I'm able to know during this period, I'm not really that productive. This period, I can finish my whole workload in a day. It's taken me about 32 years. And the worst part about it is that we don't see those kind of stories. We see happy-go-lucky stories. We see people dancing when they get their period, and that's really not the case for many people. And the other thing is, always we assume that our periods are always the same. Wherever we are in the world, our periods always look the same. We'll experience it in the same way. And that's not true. In the years that I've worked within the storytelling field, I've learned that there are a lot of factors that come in how we experience our periods. Women who experience periods in Palestine do not experience the same kinds of periods in Kenya. Women in Syria, women even within the country, it could be 20 kilometers apart, but we don't experience it the same way. And that's something that I feel needs to be at the forefront on how we talk about it. It needs to be the big word is that we need to be very inclusive. And these conversations bring light on how policy works. So policy is the big agenda. It's the big umbrella that governs how we look at menstruation to begin with. But the storytelling brings out the light of, does the policy work or not? Do the lived realities reflect what people want? So I've done some work with an organization called Disability. It's an organization that focuses on sexual and reproductive health of people with different abilities. So people who have fibromyalgia, people who have lived on wheelchairs half their life, people who are disabled. We never think about it, but they experience periods very differently from us. It's not even a wash conversation. It's a comfort conversation. We haven't reached the point of talking even about whether it's sustainable for them. We're still on the comfort. Are they comfortable? and yet they've had periods for a very long time. The first disabled person didn't happen in the 21st century, but this is when the conversation is just starting. They're being involved into the rooms, and even then, when they're brought into panels, they're just told to talk about their lived experiences, but not design solutions for people like them. So storytelling does that. It brings many people to the table, and it allows people to see how everything works from a broader perspective, and it humanizes all of this. It gives us also the language, what that Danielle was talking about. It gives us the proper language on how we talk about menstruation. How do we talk about it from a gender perspective or a sex perspective? Do we say women who menstruate, or do we talk about just people who menstruate? It gives us the whole language, and that language is what will build the policy. So I think storytelling for me is it's what brings policy alive. It's what shows whether the impact is real or not. And one thing that I would really want this space to have more of is allowing lived experiences to be shared in open spaces. We really talk about the big things and the big umbrellas and the states, but then within those states, there's one girl in a school in my home county that's at the border that during school holidays has to have sex for pads because school has been closed and they're not being given money. But you see, policy doesn't reflect that. So that story is very important to include it in the conversation. And just stories bring out a really beautiful aspect that it humanizes menstruation to the point where you can feel it. And once it's in the room, you cannot ignore it. It's now a reality that you cannot ignore, and we cannot behave as if those things don't matter. So the basis of all of this is that inclusive storytelling just makes it a very it removes the whole gender issue and becomes a human rights issue. All of us should experience comfortably menstruation. We should experience menstruation comfortably, whether we're in Palestine, whether we're in Kenya, whether we're in South Africa, whether we're in India, regardless of whatever is happening, we should be able to have accessibility despite our ability, despite our environment, we should be able to experience it comfortably. That's, the bare minimum that we're looking for. And stories will bring that to life, whether are we really experiencing it comfortably. Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
hope I've answered your question, Bismah.
Yes, thank you so much, Joan. I always, loved hearing from your experiences and passion about storytelling. And, that's very crucial point because when we say about storytelling and people who are experiencing menstruation share their stories and experiences, that's also give open a window for other people who don't menstruate to actually understand that what the female body goes through. And the important recipient of that information are men because they don't menstruate themselves. So as you see, they take experience and that sort of thing from what they are seeing and what have been shared with them. So funnily, the ads, the period product ads where girls are happy and they are playing tennis and or sports in white uniform and that sort of thing. And also in Pakistan we have girls who are dancing in the schools and taking part in sports competition and that sort of thing because they just have a pad now so they can do everything. So that's give a very false message to all the boys and men which are actually watching those advertisement. And when some the women in their life, their sisters and friends, colleagues, when they go through periods and they see them pain, they are actually, they got confused that aren't you guys supposed to be as happy as in the advertisement and that sort of thing. So that's why I guess Ranu work is so important. So Ranu, please just share with us. You do school sessions, you work with boys and men to talk about them through periods, through movies, films, and that medium. And also that's a low resource setting. Maybe there are definitely social construct and taboos, and maybe they are hearing about periods first time from you, right? From their fellow men, that okay, this is something which is we need to talk about. So just share with us that how is that experience, and how the societal experiences and storytelling and that sort of thing, they shape the ideas of men and boys around menstruation. And also, are things changing on that platform, or does it make any incremental changes within their relationship with their sister, colleagues, school going, or their general perception about menstruation in the society, and what role they should play?
Thanks so much, Bismah and Joan, for this opportunity. And I think, yeah, your question is very important. And because I don't menstruate, so even many people question my work, why you are working for menstruation or education awareness. So yeah, there is lot of things to talk. I will definitely talk, but first I just take a moment to appreciate Danielle, Jenny, they both, and all the other panelists, because they are very inspirational for me. I know them for years. I have been following their works, and I think they are a big role in my work. I learn a lot, and I take leadership, advocacy from them. So I'm very thankful to all of them, and also for taking me in this panel. So yeah, coming to the question. When I started my work, especially in 2021, from starting a chapter of period, which is period Bihar. So it was very funny for many people to see that a man or a boy is going to work on menstruation education awareness, because they don't associate them directly with menstrual education or something like that. And if you see some data insights, I was just checking out recently, and I saw that only 1 in 4 boy get education on menstrual hygiene, and I think the similar with girls also. So you can imagine uh, the lack of education awareness, and I was one of them, because when I was in high school, my teacher refused to teach us the reproduction chapter. So yeah, that left me more curious that why somebody is not teaching a chapter which is very important. So yeah, that was an incident which uh, made a big impact. And I think if I could get better education during those time, uh, I could be a good ally for my sister, my cousin, or my female friends. But I'm thankful that during my bachelor, I got to learn a few things about hormonal changes and all during my bachelor. So those things were there. I attended some workshop. But when I started doing events, when I started doing sessions in the schools, I think that not just started making change in the classroom or in a community, but I also got to learn so many things which I never got to learn in my community, in my family, or even in the classroom I was going. And what I found very insightful that the lack of education awareness that is not just impacting the woman, girl, or the menstruator, but it is impacting our whole society, a family or a big community we are living in. So that was a big problem, especially we are not including men and boys. I tell you a very funny story. I was taking a workshop and I just asked uh, uh, about the ads, menstrual pads. So one boy told me that my father told me this, about this thing, that it is some kind of diaper, and he just skipped the ad and all. And you can imagine that those kids, what they are going to learn about that. They never talk about those things. And I think that the same with condoms. If we see the ads, we immediately change the channel, or we left that conversation at that point. I think we could just initiate some kind of conversation with our kids, family members in some way where we can educate them. Because if we don't do that, they are going to learn something different about that, and their perspective are going to change from a very early age. And when they grow up, uh, they will not be more supportive, empathetic, inclusive for the society, or especially people who menstruate. Because I just tell you, I got a message today because I am in Delhi and I'm supposed to meet some female friends. So a friend just texted me, Ranu, I just got my period today, and I am not feeling uh, to go out. Can we meet tomorrow? So I just feel that how privileged I am that they can open up. They can simply tell me that they are on period. I wish they could tell the same to their boss, to their teacher, to their colleagues, or even family members. So you can see small changes through these kind of events and work. So yeah, I was working in very different ways for the last 4 5 years. But this year on Menstrual Hygiene Day, I started 𝐴𝐸 period, which is my portal, and I am still working on its very initially step. But I think I'm very happy, and many of people here I have been seeing the portal before it's launched, and they gave me very good insights, including Danielle. So I'm very thankful. And we started a period film festival in August this year, and till now we have hosted around 15 screening in different cities with different uh, age groups. We also include boy and men. So it was very interesting, and we are going to host one this Monday. So please wish me all the best. And recently we have done with primary student for the very first time, classroom from 3 to 5, and it was also a great experience for me because I never worked directly with primary student, because the school don't allow us. They just allow the senior girls or boys. Even they don't include boys most of the time. They just separate them, that okay, you only need girls, right? So we are just giving you girls student. But I tell them I am also a man and I'm going to talk about this thing. So it will be very uh, helpful for them if you can invite your male teacher or all the boys. But only a few school allow us. So in that session, we got to know many things, especially the question and thoughts in boys' mind, that what they think about their bodies, and especially how they see girls in their classroom, what they think about their bodies, the changes they see. So it is very important we teach them about puberty and all the growth we see during those times. So I think that's very insightful for me, and I'm now going to continue this with more primary students in more schools and communities. So yeah, I think film festival have given me a very different stage, because earlier I struggled to make a space where kids or people can open their feelings, questions. But I think when I started doing film festival, because we first do a screening and then we follow up with some discussion, or we invite some professionals, and I see that it's very safe space for them when they see the movie and then they open up about their experience, their feelings, or sometime they relate with somebody like their cousin or even with themselves. That I also had some similar experience when I was growing up. So yeah, that is my take, and I think that's why I'm working here, and I'm very grateful to be part of this discussion because we need more boys, we need more males in this discussion, so we can make inclusive space where we can talk about menstruation regardless of gender or something. So I'm very grateful. I'm one of those people who take a space in this leadership. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rano. I'm always in awe of your work you do with children, boys, and men, and using media as a medium to start the conversation. It's truly incredible. And we are like slightly above of the time. So I would just open floor to all of you and ask you a general question one by one to just answer it shortly. That what would be the one thing which you would want to change, like right now or in near future regarding menstruation? We can start with Sarah.
So I would like shift the conversation from the one of shame, of secrecy, to the one of boldly literacy and empowerment. Framing the cycle not as a problem to hide, but as a vital sign of health and, if I can say, benchmark for true gender equality.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I guess this is the core thing which we all want. Danny, what would you want one thing to change?
Just one.
Just one.
All right. I would say, kind of going off of Joan's point around comfort, but going deeper into like the psychological safety of women and people who menstruate, because there is so much internal chaos about, am I leaking? Can someone tell? Oh, I'm faking that these cramps don't exist right now so that I can give this presentation. And all of that feeling of unsafety contributes to a dysregulated nervous system. It raises our cortisol, it raises our stress, and we don't then feel safe in our only home, which is our body. And so, yeah, that people feel more safe in the places that they work, live, and play.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Okay, so my turn. What would one thing I would change? Oh yeah, so this is something I literally really wanted to do, that bring all the period products rack in front of the shop rather than the back of the shop and wall and everything. So yeah, that's one thing that I would like to change it. Joanne, what would one thing you would like to change?
I'd like to see more real lived experiences in the conversation of menstrual health.
Great. Rano, lastly, you. Yes.
Yeah. So we have men in menstruation, but not in discussion or leadership. So my take will be including all the boys and men in the leadership, advocacy, education, and awareness.
Thank you. Thank you.
And also tackling with the menstrual waste, because we have tons of sanitary waste and we are not doing enough for that. So that would be my take.
That is so amazing. I mean, seriously, I don't want to, end this discussion. But like for today and our journal theme, we have actually touch point on so many important pointers, our experiences, ecosystem, our body, giving signs. If I could, just pick up one point from, all of your amazing, discussions, it would be, the most of all, pay attention to your body. It's giving you sign, and take it seriously, like you would take fire alarm seriously. Take your period sign seriously as well. And there's literally no benefit in delaying it, and labeling it is normal. No, if your body is going through pains, the certain changes, menstrual health is a great indicator. So it's actually indicate you to what your body needs, and when you should go to a uh doctor. And then definitely those experiences of people working in menstruation, it transforms into the ecosystem, the people on the leadership position, and that's how it translates into the whole, at the policy level. That's why, as Joanne mentioned, the lived experiences of people, including people with disability, with people in conflict zones, people during climate migration, national disasters, they are really important. So all the people could be included into the policy and decision making and system design as well. And because that's how it will make sure that all the people who are menstruating, they are menstruating with dignity, and it just not ends on just having period products. It's about wash, it's about the system, it's about having access to sexual and reproductive health. It's about having access to knowledge about your body, and also it's about access to comfort. And at the end, to be able to do this all, we need allies, especially men, because mostly men are at leadership positions. They are policymakers, and also they are our fathers, brothers, husbands, friends, and colleagues. So it's like really important that they know that what we are going through. So instead of excluding them through those conversations, we definitely need to include them, because that's the one thing that I have learned, engaging with men and boys, that they don't feel shy. They won't feel shy unless you are, right? So if we you are feeling shame and stigma, then they just taking them as a mirror, they will too. So it's like make the conversation open. It's normal. It's part of your body. It is how things are. And we don't need to do such like big things. It's like little things we do for each other in our daily life. So closing this session, I'm so grateful for Denny, Jenny, Joanne, Rano, and my comrade in this, Sarah, who's the brainchild behind this session. So thank you so much, and I really wish you all the best, festive time, and also Happy New Year to you all. And I can't wait. We can't wait to, work with you all in coming years, next year, or, with the renewed energy to work on progress the menstrual health agenda. If you have any last thing to say, any message, please feel free to do that. Sarah, do you have any closing thing to say?
I just want to thank you again for joining us today for this webinar. Thank you for sharing your valuable insights. And it was a pleasure to meet you all today for many more webinars and events and advocacy for menstrual health. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And we will make sure to share the recording with all of you. And take care. Have a great evening, night, and Happy New Year. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
We take a picture.
Bye.
Oh, super.
We have taken the screenshots. I will
Oh,
share with all of you. Yes, thank you. Okay,
thank you.
bye.
And please do
Bye.
Thank you.
more sessions.
Yes, we will. Definitely will.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Merry
Bye. Happy New
Christmas.
Year.
Bye.